This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
When we thought Captain had postponed his meet with Amma for the weekend, sources suggest he may be on his way to Boys Garden now. Even as word on Congress DMK seat sharing is awaited, MK Arigiri bolds googly, says Captain never said DMDK was part of AIA DMK's alliance. Has the DMK settled with their number match? Sources say Congress nods to 60 seats. Gulab Nabi Azad to touchdown tomorrow. Looks like the Election Commission will not budge on the poll schedule despite the many cries. The Chief Election Commissioner acts tough. The Bar Council elections in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry goes off peacefully for the first time. The Madras High Court steps in to oversee the process. And the Madras High Court directs the TNPSC to submit the answer sheets of candidates from the year 2000. Welcome to the news tonight. I'm Evelyn Matthew. Tonight could be the much-awaited sealing of the deal at Boys Garden. All eyes have been Amma words the whole of today. Our executive editor Sanjay Pinto joins us with his prediction on how the DMDK would be a game changer come the polls this April the 13th. Before we get into that discussion, a look at the national headlines as well. Veteran Congress leader Arjun Singh is no more. He was 81. Manmohan Singh takes responsibility for PJ Thomas's appointment a day after the Supreme Court delivers its 71-page verdict. The centre steps up action against tax defaulter Hassan Ali after the Supreme Court wonders why tax evaders are pampered. The Apex Court sends notices to L.K. Advani on the CBI's plea against dropping conspiracy charges in the Babri case. 4 Maoists are granted bail by Orissa's High Court. This was their demand in exchange for the release of Collector Krishna. The CBI frames corruption charges against Justice Yadav on the day she retires, making her the first ever sitting judge to be charge-sheeted. In the lowest score in this World Cup, Bangladesh is bowled out with just 58 by the West Indies. And NDTV's team reports from Benghazi on why the east of Libya is so crucial for Gaddafi, the protesters and the world. Just when the top political parties were taking the centre stage, the Chief Minister's son, MK Arigiri, thought it was time to turn the tables and the attention to him, and with it add a new twist as well. This evening, Arigiri said that Vijaykanth never said he will be joining AIA-DMK alliance and that he was a man with great self-respect. So is the actor having second thoughts on alliances with Jayalalitha, or could this just be another googly from the prodigal son?
சேமுத்துக்கு அங்கே சேர்ந்ததாக உறுதியாக நீங்கள் சொல்கிறீர்களா? இன்னும் இதுவரை விஜயகாந்த் வாயிலிருந்து அப்படி ஒரு வார்த்தை வரவில்லை. நண்பர் விஜயகாந்த் வாயிலிருந்து அப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு வார்த்தை வரவில்லை. மிகவும் ரோசாக்காரர் என்பது எனக்கு தெரியும். அவர் தன்மானம் மிக்கவர் என்பது எனக்கு தெரியும்.
Well, all this even as Captain is set to meet Amma at her Boys Garden residence any moment now. Vijaykanth and Ms. Jayalalitha had reportedly sealed the deal over alliance partnership last week. This was in fact confirmed by senior leaders of the DMDK. Vijaykanth himself has in fact said just a couple of days back that his first duty was to exorcise the devil of corruption from Tamil Nadu. Joining me on the show tonight is our executive editor Sanjay Pinto, who is going to add more depth into what this really could mean. Sanjay, Captain and Amma, this combination, how is this alliance really going to be a threat for Karunanidhi and his kingsmen?
Evelyn, before I answer that, let me tell you that we do have information that Mr. Vijaykanth is on his way to Boys Garden to sign that deal. His trusted lieutenants of the party had done all the groundwork. In fact, Pandruti Ramachandran, it was a birthday gift to Amma, if you remember, where they said that they would join hands with the IDMK to oust the DMK, and that's their one-point agenda. So that they've made very clear. This time around, in fact, there was a lot of dithering. Of course, Arigiri's statement also sent political parties into a sort of tizzy. Nobody really knew what that meant, whether it was some sort of psychological warfare in a sense, trying to, tempt Vijaykanth. Perhaps also there was talk that the Congress could have been trying to even outsource Vijaykanth in a sense in this election. But all those hopes seem to have been dashed. Vijaykanth, we are told, is on his way any minute now. He is likely to reach Poise Garden and actually sign that deal. This is going to be a huge game changer, as you rightly said. This is the turning point of battleground Tamil Nadu 2011. Make no mistake. This, as we speak right now, that entry of Vijaykanth into Poise Garden is going to really alter the complexion of elections. Now, let me tell you why, since you asked me that question initially. The AIDMK, I'm going to give you figures of 2006, the last assembly election. The AIDMK had a vote share of 32.64%. The DMDK had a vote share of 8.38%, but that is because they contested in 232 seats. The MDMK had a vote share of 5.98%, the CPM 2.65%, the CPI 1.61%. So even if you go by last year's in fact, vote share of these parties, not last year, sorry, the last election's vote share of these parties now in the alliance, of course, then it adds up to 51.26%. Of the ADMK front. If you look at the DMK front, the DMK got 26.46% vote share, the Congress 8.38, the PMK 5.65, VCK 1.29. Of course, since more seats have been allotted, you'll have to see how the vote share would get altered. The current alliance that the DMK has cobbled together won 41.78% of votes last year. But of course, there are new parties, the Congo Belt and the VCK has got a larger share. Several other parties have joined. So this is not an accurate assessment. This is based on last year's formulations. But Vijaykanth, the DMDK, is known to be quite strong in northern Tamil Nadu, and also in there are several other pocket boroughs of the DMDK. AIDMK is extremely strong in southern Tamil Nadu and also the western regions. So you see these two parties will complement each other very well. But for more on this and what's likely to happen, we are told also that Peer Mohammed, our reporter, who's been in fact waiting patiently outside Poise Garden since the morning, waiting for that big meeting to take place, he turned back. In fact, there's been so much uncertainty in this fluid political scenario. Election season in Tamil Nadu is always full of surprises. In fact, Peer Mohammed and all the journalists who are camping outside, maybe around 7 o'clock decided, in fact, they got word that Vijaykanth was not going to come, and they all turned back, and guess what? They're all back there again. Peer Mohammed, have you managed to beat Vijaykanth to the gates at Poise Garden there?
Yes, in a few minutes from now, Vijaykanth will be reaching Poise Garden. Just now, the ADMK top leaders, they have confirmed that he is coming there in about 5-10 minutes, and they are ready with the bouquet. All the seat-sharing committee members, Kollaji Jayaraman, O. Pannirselvam Sengotten, they are ready at the gates of Poise Garden to receive Captain. And they are waiting for him. Before 10 o'clock or by around 10 o'clock, the deal will be signed according to the leadership of both the parties.
All right, Peer, we are also told that today the 4th of March is an extremely auspicious day, and we know that Amma in fact follows many of these things. Also, Mr. Vijaykanth also is known to follow some of these auspicious traditions. It's a very good day, they are told, to sign the deal. Also, we are getting information from our sources that Mr. Vijaykanth, the DMDK, is likely to be offered 41 seats. Are you also hearing something on similar lines?
Yes, Sanjay, they are saying 41 or 42 seats and one Rajya Sabha seat. That is what is being
sorry to interrupt you there, Peer, but we are told that, in fact, again, these are unconfirmed sources. We must reiterate that Vijaykanth was not too keen on the Rajya Sabha seat. It's not quite the PMK, not quite like the PMK, because the PMK would always insist on that Rajya Sabha seat for Anbumani Ramdas. But Vijaykanth, we are told, is not too interested in a Rajya Sabha seat. He'd rather have more assembly seats. So against that backdrop, how many seats is 41 more or less the sort of confirmed number? Can we break that on our channel first among all the other channels and say that the DMDK will get 41 seats from the IDMK?
Yeah, looks like he would be getting 41 seats because Vaiko should be getting, the long-standing ally of the AIDMK should be getting at least 18 seats. If he is given even a little more than 42, then that numbers will go down for Vaiko, and also for the left parties. The ADMK wants to contest at least 140 seats this time, so they are planning to give 41 to 42 seats to Vijaykanth, 18 to Vaiko, and 12 to the CPM and 10 to the CPI, which is almost the same number as the CPM and CPI contested last time also. Yeah, that seems to be the number coming from the ADMK sources. Yeah, Sanjay.
All right, Peer, also the kind of dithering that we witnessed this morning, the back and forth, the rumors, rumor bills being activated from this morning. Aragiri's, could we call it a trial balloon? Aragiri saying that Vijaykanth is a man of self-respect, perhaps in a way hinting or insinuating that he wouldn't join Amma, also saying that he had never said that he would join directly the AIADMK camp. So how do you see, I mean, clearly Mr. Vijaykanth was in fact, most people wanted him on their side, both sides wanted him along with them. So, but clearly this is, don't you see this as a big turning point, as I said earlier, in this election?
Yeah, definitely, Sanjay. In fact, the 10% vote share which Vijaykanth secured in the 2009 general election, Lok Sabha elections, has made every party woo him. In fact, DMK also held unofficial talks with him, particularly Alagiri. In fact, met with Vijaykanth's sister, who is a doctor in Madurai. That is, according to some sources in the DMK, that was a confirmed meeting, but it did not materialize into a kind of understanding. That is what we are hearing. And also, the fact that with the Congress sulking, particularly wanting to identify its own seats, the DMK also had another game plan as a last-ditch effort to split the AIADMK, DMDK patch-up. In fact, they wanted Congress and DMDK in a separate alliance, more like a third front, so that the opposition votes will be split, so that the DMK will have an advantage. That is the reason behind the rumor mills running the whole day. Because from the Poise Garden to the Virihambakam residence of Vijaykanth, there is so much back and forth, because throughout the day, Vijaykanth has been holding deliberations with Pandruti Ramachandran and his cousin and Youth Wing Secretary Sudhir throughout the day on what to demand. And
absolutely, yes. I mean, there have been, absolutely, very hectic developments the last couple of days, in fact. Peer Mohammed, again, the style of campaigning. Is it true that Mr. Vijaykanth would have to tone down his MGR legacy rhetoric when he campaigns this time around, once he's well and truly in the Amma camp?
Yeah, he may have to do that, or in fact, the Pandruti Ramachandran's what he is saying is they are again going to talk about bringing back MGR rule, the golden rule of Tamil Nadu. That seems to be also the common ground between the two parties. Whether he will have to tone down on the MGR legacy, we have to wait and see. Maybe he will go on a separate campaign. It may not be a joint campaign with Jayalalitha. That is what we are hearing from DMDK staff sources.
All right, Peer. Also, I mean, the other side. I mean, this seems to be, in fact, it's going to be a very closely fought election, going by the manner in which we've seen in the past. One side would cobble together a massive alliance. The DMK had done it last time with that rainbow coalition. But this time around, it's a completely different scenario, because both sides seem to have got strong allies. There are smaller parties which have also been accommodated. Every permutation and combination worked out. The caste factor, their influence, their pocket boroughs. How do you see this really playing out, with given the strength of alliances on both sides being equal, almost a constant? Is this going to be an IPL T20 kind of encounter with a super over and the final ball victory for one side?
Yes, Sanjay, this is going to be a very closely fought election. Particularly the DMDK's vote share of 10% is also, when they went it alone, and also when they said they are the alternative to the DMK and the AIADMK. If the same percentage will come to DMDK when they are fighting the elections with the AIADMK, that remains to be seen, because those voters, neutral voters who had been voting for the DMDK may not this time vote, because he had joined hands with the AIADMK.
That's an important point you're making, Peer. I wanted to ask you that. In fact, Peer, when Mr. Vijaykanth launched his party, in fact, I was there covering it in Madurai. He clearly said that he would never, he projected himself as an alternative to the two Dravidian heavyweights here, and said that the only alliance that he has is with God. How do you think the voters will now react to his joining hands with Amma, about ideology, about principles, about what they said in the past?
Yeah. Yes, Sanjay, this is what was being discussed in the DMDK's deliberations today. As far as I know, as far as I have heard from the sources, that is what is being discussed with the DMDK's top leadership today by the DMDK chief Vijay Gandhi today. And in fact, they have arrived at a conclusion that they have taken a vow to oust the DMK regime, and they have made it public. So now that the only way out, the only option before them to oust DMK is to join hands with the AIDMK. That seems to be the game plan they have arrived at the end of the day-long discussion.
All right, Peer, before we slide into a break, I'd like to ask you another question. I mean, if you look at vote share, of course, I gave you figures of 2006. If you look at vote share, the DMK and the AIDMK have pretty much the same kind of vote share. It's the allies that would make the difference. It's perhaps the anti-incumbency factor that could work in one side's favor. Also, freebies, we said this even a couple of days ago on our show. Freebies, I mean the massive freebies that have been announced. Will it be freebies versus, in fact, corruption? Will these be the two issues that will be pitted again by one side over the other?
Yeah, definitely. These freebies will have a very strong impact on the not just the rural electorate, also on the urban electorate, because particularly the Deputy Chief Minister and DMK Treasurer Stalin is very confident that the DMK's welfare schemes have gone down well with the electorate, and he is quite confident even without the support of the Congress, they can win it. That kind of confidence they have, but we have to wait and see how the electorate is going to react to the welfare scheme and the freebies of the DMK regime. Yeah.
All right, Peer, a very, very quick update. Any word if Vijay Kant has actually reached Poise Garden?
Not yet. We have reached Poise Garden. He should be reaching any time now. We are just.
All right, you have reached Poise. What do you see around you, Peer? What do you see around you there?
Yeah, a lot of all the media are still reaching. In fact, a lot of people waiting outside Poise Garden. Particularly ADMK cadre who have gone back, they are returning to welcome him with all kind of enthusiasm. Yeah, all the media are also on their way. Not the entire set of media is available now because they all gone back.
All right, NDTV Hindu is certainly there. As always, NDTV Hindu will be the first there, and Peer Mohammed is right there. Hopefully, we'll get you on our OB up there very soon. We'll have Peer Mohammed back reporting, and hopefully, we'll get those visuals of Vijay Kant driving into Poise Garden live on our channel. Stay tuned for more. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that remote.